Good morning, everybody. Sorry, I just got carried away looking at the impala then. There's still quite a big herd of them just off to the left, and there's quite a number that have already crossed over the road. Welcome to Wild Earth this morning. My name's Tara, and joining me on camera this morning is Becky, and Herman is back in final control. So if you'd like to join us for about a 3-hour game drive this morning here in the beautiful reserve of Djuma Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands in South Africa, then jump aboard the Gunda with us this morning and let's go and see what we can go and find. I do want to just have a quick look at the impala before we head off. But there's a beautiful view just down into the valley of all the mist, and there's quite a few spider webs there as well with all the dew on them, so we're going to have a quick stop there and then maybe go and check in with the baboons if they have woken up just yet. But they're a little bit further down the way. There's no tracks this side of any animals that I could see. If anyone heard or saw anything at Gowrie Dam last night, please let us know and send that information through to questions@wildearthsafari.tv. And if you would like to send through any questions or information this morning, then please do. Same address. It'll be great to hear from you this morning. But let's jump aboard and have a look at these impala before they head off. Interesting, thanks Janet, and good morning to you. And apparently there was a feline that crossed from left to right as you're looking from the camera. And some people are saying that it was possibly an African wildcat. Apparently the ears were very large, so that could be the serval. We do have both on the reserve. We even have the civet. If it had striped legs that you could see, then it was possibly the civet. But if anybody got a screen capture, that would be awesome. We can have a look at that. But it could be any of the above, although there's quite a big size difference. The African wildcat, if it was on the far shore, you might not be able to see it as clearly. Depends on how well the camera was zoomed in. But that's roughly about the same size as your domestic cat at home. Serval is quite a lot larger. It stands quite tall. Civet's fairly close to the ground, but quite a big stockier cat than the domestic cat. Well, thanks for the update, Janet. I thought I heard lions calling at least once last night. But it was only once and it was quite far, so I don't know if I was just hearing things. Wishful thinking. Got some mutual grooming going on there from these two ladies. And that is very normal. You'll see that amongst impala, whether it's males, females, young, old, lambs. It's called allo grooming. They share the grooming, so some of you will have a quick groom, and then the other person or the other impala will have a quick groom, and then they'll take turns, just as you were seeing there. Wow, that's quite pretty over there. It's starting to become quite pink in colour, just at the back. As one of the rams is starting to walk by. Real tree just standing off in the distance there. One of the few that still have leaves, probably. Are we able to get the colour of the sky, do you think? Considering we had quite a miserable overcast day yesterday. Actually looked like it was threatening to rain. It's beautiful clear skies this morning. Cool, let's have a quick look at that mist before it disappears. It's also quite stunning. supposed to be able to get it nicely through here. Maybe even a little bit further on where we were the other day. Let's just give that a quick go. There you go, might even be able to see some of the spider webs this morning. All the little spider webs that you can see are really the tropical tent web spiders. The hammock spiders tend to be a little bit closer to the ground. There's quite a number of them you can see this morning. A beautiful sea of mist. I've shown you this particular spider web a couple of times, but for those of you who've never seen this one before, if you look at the strands, it almost looks like a big top, one of the circus tents. You can see sort of the base of the web almost being pulled up by those strands. And the purpose of them is to actually trip up anything that flies. So if there's a fly flying around, it gets tripped up by those wires, or by the strands of silk, and they land on the web below, and the spider is actually underneath the web, and they'll then pull the fly through. And the hammock spiders tend to be a similar sort of design, maybe not as long as strands as what this particular spider has, but when they're closer to the ground, and they go for more of the terrestrial insects, so ants and things like that, and they'll have a lot of tripwires that the ants have to crawl through. It's certainly one of my favourite webs. Stunning, hey? There's a much smaller one there. Almost looks like it probably is a different species. You don't really have that tent, the big top. Using some blackjacks. I'll keep an eye on the sun and see if we can catch the rising, but I think it's still going to be a little bit longer yet. Ooh, is that a parrot there? Right in the top of the tree. You see? Who's that? Ah, it's not a parrot. I wonder if anyone can ID it. Shame, looking all cold this morning. That striped breast is probably the main feature that's going to help you. Anybody wanting to ID the bird, send it through to questions@wildearthsafari.tv. It's not an easy one this morning. Hi Jack, good morning to you. Over there in Virginia. Wanting to know, do impala have horns, or do they have antlers that shed every year? And they are an antelope, so they do have horns. Looks like that sun might just pop up. I'm hoping maybe if we can get a bit of lighting on the mystery bird, it might actually help us. Maybe this angle might be a little bit better. You might be able to see a little bit more. Let's try and get a different angle at it for you. See if that makes any difference. It's starting to wake up and move around. But the antlers on the deer, as you quite rightly said, do get shed. And they tend to have a layer of skin. It's quite velvety. Here comes the sun. Whereas the horns actually have the keratin over the top, and that velvet on the antelope, as I'm sure everyone knows, does get worn away. They look quite interesting around the rutting season. Beautiful, crisp, clear sky. I think it's probably just a little bit too dark to actually see the mist in there. Yeah, we're going to be able to see it now. There's a little bit of light shedding on the mist now. Are we able just to get that bird quickly? There's a little bit of light on it. We're at a different angle. Let's have another look for those of you who may have missed it. Oh, he's turned around now. He's actually facing away from us now. I thought he was still facing us. Okay. So was that Caroline? Good morning to you, Caroline. Welcome on board this morning. I hope you're well. I'm wondering if we just drive around, or do we go and check certain areas when we go out driving? Wow, that is pretty. Are we able just to pan the camera? Look at that. That is really quite beautiful. I might actually be able to say what I was trying to say, see what I was trying to talk about. Just the rays cutting through the mist now. It really is quite pretty. Wow. Should we go and see if the baboons are awake? So it is a bit of both, Caroline. It really does depend on what's happened. We look for tracks on the ground, so that's why you see us actually looking on the tracks. Some people were asking why do we bother with that, why don't we just drive around? And you can, but it kind of increases your chances of maybe seeing these animals. Oh, there's an elephant that walked down there. We need to head down towards Gowrie Dam. And that's exactly what I mean. If there's fresh tracks, it's worth just checking the areas where those tracks go. So it might just increase your chances. If you know an animal was seen in an area, it's always interesting to go and find tracks and see if you can start tracking them. And it depends on the animal. So an elephant, if you know those elephants seen in an area, you may go back and check, but you're probably not going to find them because they do travel over a considerable distance at night. Sometimes you might find them in the same place the following day. Depends on the time of year and the area. Unfortunately, our Gowrie gang are still sleeping. Hey, the sun's up, everybody. Why are you sleeping? That's our broadcast mast that you can see there on the left of the screen. So the signal from the Gunda actually gets sent there, and then via a fibre optic cable underground gets taken to final control, where it's then sent across the internet through over to Ireland, I believe, and then it's distributed from there. There's Tankman, there's the leader of the group. I was hoping with the sun starting to rise, they might have started waking up. It's got to be cold up there. I feel sorry for them. There's little Janice. Can you see little Genesis through there? Yep, that one there. This one right at the bottom of the screen. There we go. Oh no, it's further down actually. Down the tree. Yep, little there we go. There's little Genesis. Can't see little Evelyn and her mother yet. That's the newest baby, who was born in May. It's actually Evelyn that was born in November. And he looks like he's raring to go at the moment. So just knowing the habits of animals may also increase the chances of seeing them. If the cats are on a kill, the chances are they're still going to be around in that area. So it's always worth just driving to that area and having a look. And then some mornings we have no idea where anything has been, so we drive out looking for tracks, again trying to give us an idea of where to start driving. Sometimes it's being in the right place at the right time, and if there's other guides out and about, they also help us. Oh, here comes Evelyn. She's coming in. But we do keep in radio contact because this is quite a large area, so we let each other know if we do see something of interest. Animals that guests would like to see. And they will let us know and we will let them know. And it just increases the eyes on the ground. So it increases your chances again of finding animals. There's Mrs. Looks like Mrs. P. It could be Elby actually. Now these are Chacma baboons. There's many different species of baboon, but that's the one that we have here down in South Africa. And there's Gordy. I think it is Elby there actually. Good morning, Donna. Welcome on board this morning. And you're right, we are all nice and bundled up this morning. Definitely a little bit chilly. Evelyn's going to go and see her dad. Oh, decided not to. Maybe he gave one of those looks, don't you dare. The temperatures here do drop quite dramatically in the winter. During the day you might still find it quite pleasant. Maybe late teens, early 20s. But suddenly in the morning it drops sometimes to 1 or 2 degrees in this area. Some areas you may get frost in the ground. That's little Evelyn. Definitely full of character, the 2 little ones. So that is Mrs. P there, I think, sitting with Shirley. So that's the 2 mothers sitting together with the 2 babies now. And it does affect animal movements. Especially on a very cold day, you'll find that animals tend to stick to the thicker areas, the thicker vegetation, because it tends to trap the air, so that actually helps to keep them slightly warmer. They may find a sandy patch, or maybe sometimes you may find them out on the roads, especially tar roads, because the tar roads tend to hold a lot more heat from the day, so you may find animals actually snoozing on them, especially as the sun goes down at night, to try and keep that extra little bit of warmth. But you will find animal behaviour changes, because during the summer animals tend to snooze during the hottest part of the day. They tend to not be as active, and then they start to become more active as the temperatures cool towards the end of the day and in the morning as well. Especially the diurnal animals, you might find a peak in the behaviour there, or the movement. But you may even find diurnal animals also being active very early in the morning, very late in the afternoon. And some maybe even during the night as well. We don't normally name the animals. There's a few exceptions, just so everyone can keep track of what's going on with them. And the lions and the leopards are one of the main ones, because they do cross over territories and boundaries. And it's quite interesting to understand the dynamics, and there are differences between them. And the baboons is another one that's being researched and that was being studied. So the baboons have got names, and animals that do get studied, they tend to get names to make it easier to identify who's who and what they're up to. The view of them's not great. It doesn't look like they're going to move anytime soon. The kids are ready to go. Maybe she is going to start. Let's say there's two other members of the troop that have started moving. The tankman is yawning a little bit, so maybe he is going to move. Thanks everybody. There's quite a lot of people saying they're pretty sure it was a serval crossing the wall. Hi Robert. Good morning to you. And you actually read my mind. I was thinking maybe we should go and check the hyena den this morning. Because when Mark went there was no sign of movement. So I want to see if it was just because they were deep underground or whether they have actually moved on. I think Tankman is going to take his time. He yawned a little bit, which tends to suggest that the animals are going to move. But I think he's turned over and gone back to bed. So let's see if we can try and catch up with the Gowrie gang in a little bit. So let's try and head down towards the hyena den and just see if there is any movement. I think no one's reported seeing the elephant on the camera. Maybe our elephant is hidden in the bush. This is actually the garden. A better idea. Just in case we have any new viewers wondering why on earth there's a fence here. Wake up and move out, and then move out into probably the open. Sometimes they go out the back way. They are a terrestrial monkey. They spend a lot of time on the ground. So I'm just going to have a quick scratch around here. We're going to do a drive around the block. We'll go up Rebecca's Road. To the hyena den this morning. We have the track of the elephant heading down this way. Good morning all stations. I've got my daughter and Love and Conso heading down towards Gowrie Dam. I also want to go and check out. Oh, scratch that. He did go that. No, he did go that way. This one looked like he went that way. But he did go that way. I also want to try and check out See if we can find some tracks quickly of the mystery cat. May or may not have registered on the wall. A lot of people are saying it looked like serval. Serval do have very large ears, so much larger than the domesticated cat. Probably standing as tall as that sort of height. If the legs are standing here, you're probably looking at about that sort of height for a serval, including the head and the ears, which is great to know if there's a serval around. We've been driving around hoping to bump into one, so you never know, it might be lucky, you might see it. Crossed over the dam wall. Actually, these probably a little bit older actually. Probably best bet is to check the tracks over that side. Jump out here, just see if there's anything I can see quickly. Wow, that's quite a beautiful view there.
Yeah, Trina Rope and Conzi is heading west. I'll have to check east-west line.
Okay, copy that. Here on Dragona Road, just on Narrow Fence Road. Where do you want me to check?
If we go around towards the Galaxy, it's fine. I'll go around this side.
Okay, copy that.
Okay. Can't see anything. It looks like someone's already gone over the wall. But the tracks, if they are there, I can't see them. There's a lot of debris and stuff in the middle of the road as well. The soil is quite thin here. Check the spillway. Because I'm thinking maybe it walked through here.
Love, East Scotland.
Some concern, all your numbers are out on track. All your numbers are out on track.
Yeah, I think while they're I can come on board.
Well, looks like the young rhino was around here. Not really seeing any other tracks, unfortunately. You do need a little bit of light. I was hoping that we might be able to see something. It's going to take the light a little while to actually come around into this drainage line. But it's certainly worth a try. We've got some hyenas that were moving around. Come on, Gunda Gunda. Yeah, a lot of rhino activity. Drive up and just see if we're lucky. Maybe the rhinos are just around here. It sounds like someone might be around. It looks like they may have gone down to drink, but where they went from there. Let's have a quick look along here. Our elephants went into the drainage line. Just have a quick drive up here. We won't go all the way up unless we find tracks. We'll head down towards Rebecca's Road, Surrey's Road, where the hyena den is, and just have a quick look to see what's going on there. I wonder if anyone's come back with the idea of the bird this morning. As I say, it was quite a difficult one. Maybe someone recognised the shape of the bird, the streaks on the breast. The bird we don't see very often, which also doesn't really help. But we do see a relative of it very, very often. Brightly coloured bird. Also has a member of the family that migrates north. Hi Shireen, good morning to you. And just wondering, did anybody come back with any bird IDs yet? Shireen wondering what my accent is. I won't come back yet. Okay. Maybe with those clues, maybe someone might have got it. But the migrant heads, one of the migrants heads north to Europe, and one of them actually heads to the central part. As far as I understand, the central part of Africa. If that gives you a hint. But yes, what is my accent? My accent is a mishmash of everything. I was born and raised in the UK, in England, in Lancaster. Lancaster Royal Infirmary. I moved around the country quite a bit, moved to the south, moved to the Midlands, moved back up north. Okay, we're going to turn around. Having any look. Binky, you're in the right area. Morning, Binky. Lilac-breasted roller, that is the most common member of the family that we see here. This is probably the least common that we see here. Actually, I'm telling a lie about the inter-African migrant and getting it mixed up with somebody else. So you can scratch the inter-African migrant, but certainly the migrant to Europe. Caroline was also saying lilac-breasted roller. So this one's a little bit bigger and streaks on the belly, on the breast. Hi Holly, good to hear from you. Good morning to you. Holly's saying European. That's a little bit more blue and you won't find it this time of year, but that is the migrant that I was talking of. I also studied in Newcastle, so there's a little bit of Geordie in there too. But, certainly more northern England accent, although it's mixed in with South African now. It's funny, when I speak to my parents and friends and family back home, they say I sound South African, but when I speak to people out here, I still sound very English. So yeah. And it depends on who I'm with. My accent is greater or less. Especially when I go home, my accent really comes back with a vengeance. Okay, I'm not gonna waste too much time now. We're gonna head straight over to Susie. It might as well be with this weather. Penguin. It's a lilac-breasted roller in pyjamas. Seems as the donkeys were in pyjamas, according to Patrick. The lilac-breasted rollers in pyjamas. Also has stripes. Certainly the largest roller that we get. What we get here. Told you it wasn't an easy one. Ah, Bobby, right on the nose. Purple roller. Well done, Bobby. It was a purple roller. Rufus crown roller. Is there such a thing? I've heard of it. It's in somewhere other than South Africa. I'll have to have a look at that one. Or is it like the red-nosed reindeer because of the cold? Okay. Forward. It was worth a try. The rhinos might have just been around there. It looked fairly fresh, but maybe they're still in the bush, thick bush somewhere. Oh wow. Hi Jim, all the way over there in Canada. Good morning to you. And apparently it's your first time to see the sunrise in South Africa. Well, I am absolutely thrilled to hear that. And I hope you'll see a few more with us. Now, what's going on with these Impala? There is a horn. What's up with this? Oh. Texan, come here.
Okay.
Confirm, are you by Inga's house?
Negative information, they will look up.
Okay, copy. Station by Inga's house, come in. Okay. What's going on there? A little bit too relaxed for there to be a cat there. Andrew,
Andrew is on leave. Could we look at?
sorry, I thought it might have been Henry. Could be. Okay, copy, thanks. He's just looking at the Impala with the light on them. Odd. Sorry, Jim. But it is great to hear that you enjoyed the sunrise this morning. So hopefully we'll have a couple more with us. And it's amazing, and it's, you know, some days you sort of go out and you go out on safari, and it's, you know, it's definitely a blessing every day you go out, but you kind of forget the enormity of the technology that we've got going here. I mean, the fact that we can have so many people across the world watching it's really mind-blowing, and I must admit, I just sometimes still can't get my head around it. It is incredible. I've been having viewers from Kazakhstan and India. I think there was a couple from Japan the other day. Argentina, New Mexico, Canada, all over the US, England, France. I think there was even Hungary yesterday. And I'm sure I've missed a lot of countries as well. Scotland, Ireland. I don't remember, I'm sure there's a couple of Welsh there as well. Oh, we've got the guinea fowl here. This seems to be pretty relaxed. Spain, Portugal, Hawaii. It really is incredible. I'm wondering what cats that we have here in Jima Game Reserve, what cats we see most often, what my favourite is to watch. And we see the leopards more than we see the lions. The lions tend to cover a much larger area than the leopards do. And we're very lucky because we have Karula, who is a female leopard, and her territory overlaps with pretty much all of our traversing area, in fact all of our traversing area, which is about 800 hectares to 1,000 hectares. Some days we have better signal in those areas than other days. And cheetah, sometimes we do see cheetah, but not as often as the leopard. Leopard, this area is famous for leopard. There's very few other places that you really see leopard as relaxed and as often, I think, as the leopards here. I'm sure there's one or two, but this is the most famous for it. A very relaxed leopard here. And that is the guinea fowl. Guinea fowl. Some more elephants going that way. The elephants had a conference somewhere around here, went their separate ways. Unless it's the same elephant, and he went down to the dam, drank, and then came up here, which is a possibility, but there was some elephant tracks going over the dam wall too. As soon as we popped out here, we're going to go down Zoe's Road rather than Rebecca's Road. And we'll do Rebecca's Road after that. Good morning, I'm on my way to the MBC car. I'll let you know if it's active. And I think because the leopard, I think, is just such an elusive cat, I've really enjoyed learning a lot about them. I was very privileged to actually have quite a large pride where I learnt a lot up in the Waterberg. Ooh. I heard parrot calling and it wasn't too far away. Okay, now it's moved. There was a parrot over here and I think it's over here now. It's going that way. Oh! Must have been... Oh, no, there is one still here. We get a lot of viewers asking about parrots, and do we have parrots? I think it's just a little bit too far back. We might have luck with a mate somewhere down here. Ah, there it is. It's in the silver cluster leaf, I can see it. Can you see it? Tree right through. Yeah, it'll be there. There it is. There's the brown-headed parrot. Eating the pods of the silver cluster leaf. I think someone was asking actually what do they eat during the winter time. And they do eat a lot of the seed pods. And they may actually supplement the diet with insects as well. They're quite a big fruit and seed eater. And just like the oxpeckers that we see a lot, and even the woodpeckers, they have the 2 toes forward and 2 toes back to give them quite a lot of agility when climbing through the trees. And you can see, obviously, using the beak, I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with. It's almost like an extra foot. So there you go. We do have the brown-headed parrots. We're not just saying we do, we actually do. I'll keep looking for a brown-headed parrot close to the road. Definitely good to see it in a while. So definitely, Jim, I must admit, I've really enjoyed learning more about the leopards, and still learning about the lions and the interactions there. But definitely, we've not seen the leopard that much on my old reserve. I saw it about 8 times in 3.5 years. And even then, that was a quick sighting, sort of the tail dashing across the road, or a leopard sitting maybe 200 meters away on the rock. So you're saying to your guests, you see that little yellow spot just up there? That's actually a leopard. But I must admit, I'd love to see more of the smaller cats as well. And I think one of the reasons why we don't see them, I think they tend to keep themselves and a little bit more nocturnal than maybe some other places, because there is quite a high density of large carnivores. I'm just going to move this branch out the road. There's a little bit of a large tree to move in the road. At least we can move the little one. Have a guess who's been here? Enjoying the feast. Drive around this one, unfortunately. Strong, but are not that strong. And I wonder, Jim, what your favourite animal is to see? Does any in particular you enjoy learning about? Looks like it came up this way and then went down again. And if anybody else has any requests this morning, definitely send them through. Did I just hear a squeak? Did you hear that squeak? Yeah. Oh, maybe it's a goshawk or something. Pull forward a little bit more. Oh, there he is. Standing in the tree. No, don't turn. It looks like a pale chanting goshawk. Please come back this way. It'd be nice to see you. No, wrong way. Oh, sorry. Too keen to catch up with it. So if we're going this side, we're going to be in the way of the sun now. Oh, there he is. He is still in the tree. Can you see him? Bit awkward angle. She might be better off going a bit further back again. He actually looked like he went onto the ground. Let's just see if we can see him from the other side. We might actually be able to see more than a silhouette. We will get to the hyena though. Then. Oh, there's flew. Oh. A pale chanting goshawk. I'll show you a picture. Let's get to the hyena den. I can show you a picture of that in the roller as well. Elephants aren't too far away. We definitely had a party along here. It could be that in this area that there's a high amount of food to be found because of the lions and the leopards and other small carnivores. And I think this clan is pretty good at hunting as well. We have seen them hunting impala. actually do think that they are quite good at hunting. All stations, looks like the MBC car is active this morning. It's affirmative, I've just arrived and it's active. Affirmative.
Excellent, thank you very much.
And one of the reasons being they don't always take meat back to the den is because of the high level of competition between the hyenas. And what was quite interesting we saw the other day was one of the mothers, and I think it was the mother with the medium-sized cubs. We've got 2 large cubs, 2 medium-sized and 1 small. And I'm sure there's probably just a couple of weeks separating each one. I think the smallest one is still pretty dark, so I think it's probably about 3 months old now. The oldest ones I think are probably around 6 months now, 5 or 6 months old, something like that. I think they've only just really got their spots. They usually start to develop around 4 months, and then the medium size are probably about 4.5, 5 months old. Oh, another vehicle. I don't know if we're going to be able to get another vehicle in here. Let me see. I don't particularly want to disturb these cubs. You can approach if you're approaching the MBC Kaya. I'm going to try and make some space for you. There's not too much around this side. Too close to them and scare them back into the hole. That's as far as I can go. I can see 4 little faces in there now. I'm sure the other one might be around. So saying we had the mother bring a piece of carcass back, and she actually stopped the other 3 cubs from eating from it. But what was quite interesting was that something happened, something walked by, something disturbed them, and she was a little bit uneasy. And she actually ran off with it, and the cubs ran into the hole, and I still don't know exactly what happened. Lucas, come in. Lucas, you should be able to see them from just behind me.
I think just drive around and come on my side.
Okay, copy. Hi, Donna. Donna in Arizona. Good morning to you, and thanks for coming back with your favourite animal. You enjoy seeing the cats, you've had cats all your life, and you also enjoy seeing baby animals. And you could watch baby elephants all day. They definitely have a charm about them, hey? Hi, Frank from Lakewood, California. Good morning or good evening to you, I suppose, on that side of the world. I suppose Canada too. Saying your favourite safari moment was to find us. Oh, that's wonderful to hear, Frank. Oh. Hi, Jewel. Jewel Wagner over in Illinois. I'm hoping I'm saying your name right. Saying your favourite moment was last week with the elephants. And them showing us who was boss. Those youngsters. That was a great moment, hey? It's alright, little cubs. Hi, Gary. Good morning to you. Wondering what season we're in, because you can see us wrapped up all nice and warm. And we are actually in our winter time now. The temperatures do get very, very cold. Not enough for frost, but some areas will get snow. Namibia, I think, had snow a few weeks ago. Johannesburg can also get snow. Hey, little ones, that's alright. Come on in. I just weren't too sure. It's an unusual approach for the vehicle to come round, so they weren't too sure. So only seeing the four, maybe the other one's inside. And I don't think they've got a babysitter today. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. One of the mothers seems to take the role. Sometimes the males might take the role, apparently. I only learnt that the other day. I've not seen that before. A shame they're all sitting together trying to get warm. Now, one of the reasons why females might not bring... Ah, there's the fifth one. Hello, little one. I wonder if he's been in a very deep sleep. She's probably about 4 months old now. Maybe just over. You can see some of the spots on his body. But other females, high-ranking females, might actually steal the kill or steal the carcass from a female that brings the food back. So I think in areas where there might not be as much food availability, or maybe the hunting isn't as successful, I think maybe mothers don't bring the food back in case they do lose it to another female or high-ranking female. But here, it seems to be taken back on a couple of occasions. You do see the occasional drag mark coming into a den. They're quite interesting. And this is one thing to remember as research goes on. and what we've learned, like from documentaries and books, wherever they've been written or wherever they've been filmed, will be accurate or fairly accurate for that particular animal in that particular area, especially if they've been following it for so long. But as technology gets better, that's how we've actually found that hyenas are actually very capable hunters. It was always thought that they only scavenged. But in fact, as technology got better and they were actually able to follow animals into the night, they actually found that hyenas were able to hunt, and quite often lions would actually steal the hyena's kill. So actually quite a good hunter in their own right, but will also conserve the energy by scavenging. But as more research is done in different areas, then you start to see the differences between those areas and animals within those areas. And I think this is probably one of those particular things, that there is differences, and you can't say that hyenas will do this and hyenas will do that. It really does depend on the area that they live in. And as far back as I can remember, I've always known hyenas to give birth usually to 2 cubs, a maximum of 2 cubs. And I found the other day there was a website that suggested that sometimes they can have 3. And even on the specialist website now, they say there has been records of 3 cubs being born on occasion. It's still not the norm, but it can happen. Hi Valerie. Good morning to you, and I think asking when do hyenas make that sound, I'm sure you're talking about the laughing hyena, or spotted hyena as this one's called. It is very vocal. It's probably one of the most vocal animals in Africa, and even their cousins aren't that vocal, the brown hyena and the striped hyena and the aardwolf. You won't really hear them making that much noise. But there's a whole spectrum of calls that the hyena makes, from the cackling, laughing sound, which they're very famous for, and that's when they're excited. Now it can be when they're chasing animals off of their kill, it can be when something's happened and they become excited. You might hear them sometimes during play, and the tails raise, and the adrenaline's obviously pumping around the body. But usually around the feeding sites, that's when you'll hear it most often, when they're stimulated. Then you get the whooping call, which is a contact call, and you hear that a lot, and you may hear that on the camera a lot. And that's a contact call between the clan members. See the smallest one there now. You can see the size difference. So the spots are actually quite clear now. So probably about just over 4 months, that little one then. And the medium one's about 5 months, maybe 5.5. And the slightly older one's maybe about 6 months. So I don't think there's too much separating them. Hi Davina, good morning to you. From, was it Illinois? Welcome on board the Gunda this morning. Wanting to know what are the hyena's predators. This is when they're most vulnerable, when they're young. And predators can come in all shapes and sizes. And you can have anything from snakes to other hyenas, lions, leopards, maybe even jackal if they come across baby hyenas left alone. Especially the very, very small ones. And if the baby hyenas can't get into the den in time. But as I say, there'll be a couple of holes here that they use, and probably it goes smaller and smaller as you go further into the tunnel, and that will actually be a hideaway for the cubs, and even adult hyenas can't get in there. And that's one of their defences, and as I say, if they have a babysitter, an adult with them, then they're also going to be able to protect them as well. But as they get older, really the only other things that the hyena needs to worry about are, again, other hyena, but lions as well. They've actually been named eternal enemies for a very good reason. There seems to be this ongoing battle between them. And there was actually a documentary put together about hyenas and lions, and actually showing there was a lion that actually got killed by the hyena. It got separated from its pride and got killed by the hyena. And then there was a retaliation, and the lions actually killed a member of the hyena clan. I can't remember which way around it was, but there was a retaliation there. Oh, look at that. And I must admit, being here in the Sabi Sands, I've actually really enjoyed getting to know hyenas a little bit better. And unfortunately, they do have this bad reputation. But I just think these babies are just so adorable, and we've learned, again, so much from these hyenas and this particular clan. And I must admit, I've also been enjoying learning about these. Jim was asking earlier what I enjoy seeing and watching. And certainly the behaviour side, no matter what the animal. I love learning more about the elephants as well. And even sort of seeing behaviour that you have read in books, and you actually see it for real. I mean, that's also quite a thrill. Or any new behaviour. I'm trying to piece together the information. And that's one thing about nature, it will just turn what you think you know on its head. And depending on obviously what you've seen and what you've experienced and what other people have experienced and how often. And that's one of the great things about Wild Earth, we're actually able to share that. So if people have had experiences on safari, especially unusual behaviour, someone said that they actually saw a hornbill, ground hornbill, catching and eating a dwarf mongoose who was caught in a stump in a tree. Now I went back and had to look to see how often hornbills eat mongoose, and it turns out it's not that often. It's not really on a list of predators for the mongoose, but it's been seen. Somebody's actually seen it. It could just be that it's just never been seen before. People have never seen it, so they don't know that hornbills actually do that. Hi Joe. Good morning to you. I'm wondering sort of the age of the cubs. They're around 4 months old. Let's say I think the smallest one, you can just about see the spots coming through, so I think that's probably about 4 months now, maybe about 4.5. The medium-sized cubs, I think, are probably about five months old, maybe 5.5, and I think the oldest set of cubs are probably about 6 months now. From what I remember seeing them at the den and things like that, I'm just seeing the spots emerging. That's my guesstimate. And it seems to be 3 separate mothers. Floppy Ear is the mother of the oldest ones, and we saw the other female. I didn't see anything distinguishing on her though, but I think she might be the second ranking female with the medium-sized cubs, and she was chasing away the other cubs. And then I think the third ranking or a lower ranking female has the last cub. Now she did have 2 cubs. It's difficult to say what might have happened to that other cub, because sometimes with the competition, especially between the females, it's extremely fierce, and even from when they're born, the cubs will actually, one will dominate the other for the best milk, or the most milk. So there may be one teat that's better than the others, and that dominant cub will actually have that choice of the best teat. And there may be enough of a competition between the two that one doesn't get to drink as often and may actually starve. Could be that the other cub actually dominates it so much that it injures it so much, although it tends to be the starvation route rather than the actively killing its sibling. But that tends to be, if it happens, it tends to be between female cubs. But even then, it's not something that does happen all the time. But it has been documented more than once. It's been documented times or a few times. But again, you can't say, okay, if she's got 2 females, then one is definitely going to die. You can't really say that. I think let's leave the hyenas. Leave them to the sunning. And I was going to show you a quick picture of the 2 birds we didn't really get a chance to see too nicely. If you can bear with me, which I was looking for and then I got sidetracked. We want roller. We want the roller. Two for two. There we go. So this is the roller. And so you could see the heavily streaked breast. This one down here. Bottom of the page. Yeah, there we go. So that is the purple roller, now known as the rufous capped roller. Apparently. So quite a large roller. He's about 130 to 210 grams, whereas the European's about 150 grams, apparently. So it does make the purple roller the largest of the rollers here. So that was the mystery bird this morning. And then I'll quickly show you the goshawks. We didn't see it too well. Okay, I'm just trying to see which one it was. Might have been the Gabar. We don't get this, the pale chanting goshawk. Okay. So I just saw the banding on the breast. I thought it was the southern pale chanting goshawk, but we don't get it here. So I stand corrected. So it might have been the Gabar goshawk. I can hold this one out. It's this one up here. This one here. Could have been that one, or the dark chanting goshawk. So if anyone managed to get a nice shot of it, as I say, it was hopping around like mad. I didn't see the tail. No, not those. Not those ones. No, no, no. Up, up, up.
No, I've been on it.
Yeah, that one, or that one. I think it's possibly more likely the Gabar goshawk then. No, not those ones. These ones, this one up here. There we go. That one there. So I think I did notice a little bit of banding on the tail, but as I say, I couldn't see it too nicely. Sort of just the banding on the chest and the banding on the tail. So it was one of those two, I think. First time I've seen one of those here, so. If anybody knows which one we see more often, then please let me know. Stacey, morning to you, Stacey, in Australia. And Stacey saying she enjoys spending time with the elephants. Elephants are her favourite animal. And if you're just joining us, oh dear, Gunda, we're struggling this morning. And we're just discussing what favourite animals and favourite sightings that everybody's had here on Wild Earth. Like to send in what your favourite animal is or favourite sighting has been with us, then send it through. Morning. Good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning,
Good
ladies.
morning. How are you?
Good.
Having a good game drive this morning? Oh, awesome. Sorry? Yeah, we're actually broadcasting live to the world at the moment. We're on Game Drive, just like you are, and driving around seeing what we can go and find for everybody across the world.
Excellent.
So yeah, it's good fun.
There's two my daughter and Yari just here on.
Oh, they're just down here. Oh, okay, cool.
There you go, maybe.
Did you happen to bump into any elephants that way? Because there's a lot of tracks up there.
No, nothing.
Nothing yet. Oh, okay, cool. We'll keep a
Alright.
lookout.
Enjoy,
Alrighty.
and it's active now, finally.
The Kaya is active. They're round that side of it now.
Oh,
so-
well, we'll wait. We'll be
Yeah.
patient.
But there's a couple that are in the hole, not the hole that you see first.
Yes.
If you go around the back, they've been sitting there, and then they're just a bit further around the corner.
Alright.
So yeah, and they were still out there when we left. So alrighty, yeah, enjoy.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. If I was one of these elephants, where would I be? Okay, let's try Rebecca's Road then. Apparently there might be a couple of buffalo down here. we should do a loop. Maybe we should go up the Lego shortcut. Or along Voyatella access and see if those elephants have popped out. Or they could even be along here now. You're cutting out. Who did that come from? Ah, Kathy in Oregon. Good to hear from you, Kathy. Good morning to you. I'm just seeing. Buffalo went this way. Good morning to you, Kathy. Very moving. Thank you for sharing. Kathy was saying the first time she saw lions on any camera was with Mark about 17 months ago, and it was on a night drive. And it was the first time he'd ever seen any lions on any of the cameras. And you were so happy you ended up crying. That is absolutely wonderful. Well, not the crying part, but well, I suppose tears of joy is also is wonderful. But it is amazing that we can actually do this for so many people across the world, to actually share the wonders of Africa. And the fact that it's live, I think it's very different to watching a documentary. And the fact that we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to be around the next corner. We drove around the corner the other day and there was 3 ostrich right in the middle of the road. And that, oh, it sends tingles down my spine. And the fact that we can actually share this with everybody across the world, definitely. And I know on the promotional video, you say it's the best job in the world. I can tell you something, I feel very privileged being here and actually being able to do this with you. It is, for me, definitely a dream come true, and to hear people enjoying the sightings that we're able to bring you, and to enjoy spending the time here on Wild Earth and seeing things that you might not have seen before. It really is fantastic. Well, thanks for sending that through, Kathy. Wonderful story. I feel very moved. Our buffalo must have moved off. I've got one to share with you. See, I'll come to your question just now, Shirley, but to say it was feel very emotional. Thanks, Kathy. Well, I've got one to share with you all. And I don't know if you remember, there was a big male elephant. Had a hole in his ear, Ngoti was his name. And it was probably about this time last year. We spent quite a bit of time with him, and he was just edging closer and closer towards us, and he was such a relaxed bull. I didn't have any aggressive or negative feelings from him at all, and he came closer and closer to us feeding, and eventually he was right on the end of the bonnet here, just taking us in and seeing what we were about. And at that particular moment, my mum loves elephants, and at that particular moment it just hit me, and it was also a thought that possibly she was watching as well. Sometimes she does check in and watch when she can, but I felt a huge connection to my mother at that stage, and I was actually getting very emotional. I'm getting very emotional speaking about it now, actually. But quite amazing, definitely. But surely, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Good to hear from you, Shirley. Oh, hello, kudu. So I'm looking over there. The kudu, unfortunately, is right in the way of the sun. Couple of kudu cows. One of my favourite antelope to see. They're such a beautiful antelope. Okay, well that's as much as they're going to let us see them then. So I compose myself now. Anyway. But surely wanting to know the difference between hyena and jackal. Hyena, I'm not too sure when they were moved, but they've actually been moved into the cat order rather than the dogs, which is where they were first classified, because obviously the appearance, they do look like dogs. Their claws are out constantly like dogs, but there's a lot of similarities with the skull, the features of the skull that they share with cats, so it's thought they're actually closer related to cats than they are to dogs. Buck through here. We're going to see, we're going to be able to see them better through here. And some more impala. There we go. Can you see underneath that branch there? The water buck. You can see quite nicely that circle on the rump. Very characteristic, and actually the only antelope here that has that. And just going back to, there was a question this morning about impala, whether they have horns or antlers, and we actually only have antelope here in the Sabi Sands and in Kruger, and actually we should only really have antelope here, full stop. I think there's been some deer that's been introduced from the northern hemisphere, so they're actually not supposed to be here. So it's antelope that are found here in Africa, naturally found here in Africa. And all antelope have horns covered in keratin. And that is one of the major differences between antelope and deer. And the horns aren't shed, they're grown throughout their life. So you can kind of guesstimate the age of the antelopes from those horns. Some of the females have horns, some don't. So in the waterbuck and the impala, very easy to tell the females from the males. Only the males have horns. Kudu also, as we just saw. But some of the plain species, the species that live mostly out on the plains, you tend to find females having horns. Possibly for defence, possibly helps them with temperature regulation. Lots of blood vessels apparently underneath the horns, at the base of the horns on the skull. And if they stand with the head into a little bit of a breeze, it might just help them to cool down a little bit. Same with the buffalo as well. There's some research going on into that. And the impala there. Okay, antelope are disappearing on us. I just want to have a quick drive down towards Boyatella Access, see if we can find any more of those elephants. And then we'll head up Gallego shortcut, maybe come down the road, or go straight over towards Buffers Hook Dam. That'll be an idea. Or even Albury's Road. See how we feel, see what tracks we find. But the jackal, surely, are part of the dog family. They're closely related to wolves. Canis is the genus, which is the same as the wolves. It's very closely related. With the long pointy nose, big pointy ears. You might see them out here on this open plain. I have seen side-striped jackal here before. I'm definitely keeping a lookout for that serval. Serval can be active during the day and night. Depends again how much activity from the predators there is. I would have thought they'd be more active during the day here. Apparently not. Or if they are, we haven't seen them. Oh, dwarf mongoose. Is Charlie the tuner on board? Look at them all sunning themselves.
Look at coming from Boyatella.
Oh, I forgot about the other part of the question. Donna asking the same as the other part of the question that I missed with the hyenas. Morning, Donna. At what age do the hyenas go and hunt with their mothers? And I think it really depends on the size, but usually around 7 or 8 months old, the cubs should start tagging along with the adults to go and forage. But it's probably only after about a year, maybe even a year and a half, that they actually go on hunts. But I think the year they probably go and watch, but still probably just a little bit too small to really be able to join in the hunt. So they'd probably only start hunting maybe about a year and a half for themselves. Now this is Africa's smallest carnivore, the dwarf mongoose. And the colony, I think after yesterday, with it being so cold, really enjoying the warmth of the sun this morning. So even behaviour of animals can change on a daily basis depending on what's going on. So yesterday and the day before, with it being so overcast, and Charlie was on board and asking to see some dwarf mongoose, but on an overcast day it's not usually easy to find dwarf mongoose out and about. But on a day like this time of day, quite often find them sunning themselves on the termite mound, and they're probably getting ready to go out and forage. See, there's a little one grooming itself. It's usually about 5 weeks or so, I think, when they start to join the adults to go and forage for food. But otherwise they'll be left at home with a babysitter again. Oh, yes. Kerry or Terry? Nice one, Terry. I remember that one. Terry saying one of her favourite moments was watching Karula's cubs playing in the marula tree. And one almost falling out of the tree and managing to grab hold. That was quite an awesome sighting. I think that was actually the same sighting when the cubs actually walked in front of the vehicle and sat in front of the vehicle waiting for Karula to call them, and she didn't. So they kind of decided, oh, we're not supposed to follow Mum. Well, let's go back into the bush then. Now these guys will have termite mounds all over the area that they live in their territory. So they'll have a number of termite mounds that they go and visit. I'm pretty sure this would be the same group that we see on the northern side of the open area here. And just going back to behaviour and animals being different in different areas. One of the interesting things is the batalias are supposed to eat small mammals. Now this would be classed as a small mammal. And mongoose do have an anal gland that secretes a paste that's really quite foul smelling, so it tends to put off a lot of animals. Now reading through, I just happened to read through the other day whether dwarf mongoose are eaten by bataliers. There was something that came up, so I thought, well, I'll have a route around and see what I can find. And in one area, bataliers have actually been found to eat mongoose. Now, unfortunately, it didn't say if the batalier had caught mongoose, what species of mongoose it was. But bataliers do tend to eat carrion quite a lot. Quite a high percentage will be carrion. So it could have been that the mongoose was already dead and it was just eating it. But there was some evidence there that it was eating mongoose. Now in another area, I think it was southeast of South Africa, I think there's, I forget what his name is, but someone's doing some research on these little guys, the little dwarf mongoose. And he was saying, I think he was also thinking that because eagles will eat dwarf mongoose, the batalier might be one of those eagles, but apparently he's observed the batalier eagles flying over and no alarm call is given. Because these little guys will give an alarm call for a bird, they'll give a different alarm call for a ground predator so they know where to look. And no alarm call was given for the batalier, which tends to suggest that the bataliers in that area don't go hunting dwarf mongoose, so they're not a threat to the dwarf mongoose, so there's no reason for them to signal. And the batalier does look slightly different to other eagles in that they don't have a tail showing. They've got a very, very short tail. The legs actually trail behind them and you can't see the tail at all. So there's obviously a big enough difference as they're flying over from other eagles so they can distinguish between the two. Well, let's leave the mongoose. I don't think we're going to get too much movement from them at the moment. there we go, there we go. Let's see, let's see. We've got 2 Bateleurs flying overhead. Let's see what this... I've been wanting to see this. Okay, they're looking. A couple of alarm calls given there. See that? That's quite interesting. And that's, I've been wanting to see that actually. Because it could be that Bateleurs in this area do hunt mongoose. Now there was 2 alarm calls given there, and half the colony did actually dart into the hole. Now it could be that because they were sitting right in the holes, they knew that the birds were high enough away that they don't need to react too much, but there was definitely a couple of alarm calls given there, which is very interesting. Just came over at the right time. And this is exactly what I'm saying. It could be that in the 2 different areas, the Bateleurs eat slightly different things. But unfortunately, one encounter doesn't make it true. We'll have to see other encounters. Could be, as I say, the eagles were flying too high. Maybe they didn't see if it was a Bateleur or not. But I think at that distance they probably could. But they certainly were watching. And the fact that they were all in the holes, but that alarm call was definitely given. Very interesting. Very exciting. Just scanning this area just to see if there's any movement from the elephants there as well. Might get another look at the Bateleurs. Hello again. Did you get to see them? Oh, fantastic. Oh, good. There's a little colony of dwarf mongoose just down on the termite mound down there, all sunning themselves. I don't know how easy it's going to be, but do you want to give it a go? See if we can try and get the Bateleur up there. And you know what, I am so glad that I used a picture from the sighting you're talking about then. Hez is saying that her first sighting that she really was blown away with, and I'm sure a lot of you remember, is the day that Karoo and the cubs, I think they were actually just on the drainage line opposite us, and Karuna made a kill. You'd actually, I think some of you may have been with Mark when she actually made that kill. And she was sleeping, and then she literally got up, grabbed an impala, and it was all over within literally a second or so. It was incredible how quickly she actually made that kill. But she took the kill into the drainage line, and she was sat with it, and there was some beautiful light, and I forget who was actually out on drive that morning, but there was some beautiful light there, and apparently that was quite a sighting. And I think I actually used a picture from that particular morning hares on the blog. And it was just such a, and I agree, it really was a beautiful light on Karuna and the cubs just before the hyena came running through and chasing everybody up a tree. And also enjoying the baby rhino the other day. That really was quite precious. Okay, we're just going to go a little bit further along, just see if those elephants have popped out here. I didn't see anything that side. But otherwise we're going to go, or we'll take Albridge Road, go up, and then cut across back towards Buffers Hook Dam, I think, see if we have any luck with those rhinos that we're heading that side, up towards the north. Have a look around Buffers Hook Dam. Thanks for sharing that, Hez. Apparently also just enjoying the fact that we can just see these wonderful animals and see them in the natural habitat. I mean, how amazing was that to see the battalion? I was just talking about seeing different behaviours and seeing things that you've heard about, and as I say, we'll obviously have to see it more encounters, but that really was quite a thrill. I've just been talking about it, I could have timed it better. Just been talking about the battalion and the interaction down there in the southeast of South Africa, and having the dwarf mongoose and that whole interaction just play out there. That really was quite amazing. So Jim, if you're still with us, definitely that's one of the things I love about this job. Definitely. Oh, we have some giraffe tracks as well. Joe in Toronto. Hi, Joe. Wow, okay, this giraffe has got to be close by. People look out for a giraffe. We haven't seen giraffe in a while. Joe in Toronto saying the night the Majingi Lions all four walked past the vehicle. It was a wow moment, definitely. I think that was all I could say was wow. She was saying. I'm sure a lot of other people also who were watching that night. That really was a wow. Come on, giraffe, where are you? Maybe let's just try the top part of Zoe's Road again. Maybe it's come across, because the tracks are definitely coming this way. I'm in reverse mode again today. Zoe's Road is a little bit further down this way. might not be marked on your map if you are following us. Power line running parallel to Weirtella access road. This is where the draft tracks came in, so we might as well take this road. We'll be fine if we find anything. We may lose you at the end. Robin, good to hear from you in the UK. Hope you're well as well. Saying your favourite sighting was the lion cubs. Definitely made your day. And those lion cubs were very, very cute. It's been a while since we've seen the Incuhumas, so I'm hoping that they'll come down this way at some stage. To see how much those little cubs have grown. Because they probably weren't more than 2 months old when we last saw them. Usually they come back to the same branch. This time it didn't. Got some beautiful light on this little bird. Please stay there. Little bee eater. Beautiful little bird. And with the sun shining on it, oh, it's stunning. You might have noticed the long bill, and as the bee eater's name suggests, they do eat bees, and that long bill actually stops them getting stung in the face because they can catch the bee at the end of the bill and the sting can't reach the face. And they'll take the bee or insect, whatever it is that they catch, and go and hit it on the branch. The sting will fall out if it's the bee, and then they'll eat it, otherwise it'll just kill the insect as well, and then just eat the insect. Good morning, Hornbill. Oh, hi, Vivian. Good to hear from you as well this morning. And apparently the buffalo make you chuckle. Apparently Piers commented on the first time he saw a buffalo that the buffalo were giving Mark the stink eye. So it always reminds you of Piers. Oh, that's fantastic. And obviously enjoying all of the African bush. Okay, we got some ellie tracks here. I wonder if that was... Although our ellie tracks were quite big, I think it was a bull that we were following, and maybe he's following these ellie tracks, maybe he's going to be following them. Ellie tracks all over here. Yeah, well, let's try sandy patch. These were this side of the world. Let's go up and we'll go across here. There's a lot of elephant tracks here. Okay, and we'll go up and across. Giraffe is avoiding us. Yeah, it's avoiding us. Let's see if we can have some luck on this side. That missed, it was a little bee eater, that little bird. This is some more giraffe tracks. I'm not seeing the giraffe. Might make their way out towards quarantine area. All the tracks are kind of gradually going that way. It could even be the same giraffe. Meandered down there. See how we go. the road, join his friend. That's it, take it easy, boy. There we go. Very elegant. This is the male kudu. We saw the female a little bit earlier. He's just behind this tree here. I'm going to try and see if we can just pull alongside. But they tend to be a little bit more skittish, as you saw. Female kudu tend to kind of just stand and look at you. The males do tend to be a little bit more on the wary side. Well, there's 3 of them. Might just be able to see as they go through the gap here somewhere. There we go. As they get older and older, you might find them being more solitary. But you can also find them in small groups like this, especially young bulls. Find older bulls. I've actually seen a group of 7 males together once. I've also seen some big bulls by themselves. So I think it really just depends on the day. As they get older, they seem to enjoy the company of themselves a lot more. I remember seeing this huge bull, beautiful, stunning summer mane on his back under his neck, and he had around 3 turns in his horn. He was huge, and he was quite an old bull. I saw him a couple of times, and he was actually with a couple of young bulls. He was extremely old. There was one time I saw him with young bulls, and one time I saw him on his own. I think it just depends on how they're feeling on the day. Two male impala sparring. The one furthest away is trying to engage him, and he's just not taking the hint. He must be slightly more dominant. Throwing the head and licking the lips and smacking the lips is all intimidation. As I say, this one that's in the screen now must be slightly more dominant because he just keeps pushing him back just while he's walking. Not really putting too much effort into it. You see him standing very proud there. Standing side on, just showing the size of his body. They've got a lot to say for each other. There we go. A lot of what they're doing, displaying to each other, is actually trying to avoid the fight. But when they're fairly equally matched, that's when you start getting the horns interlocking. And then it becomes whoever is stronger. And even these displays will actually show that to some degree. The roaring as well, which we're not hearing. And as I say, showing the side of the body just to show how big he is. And you'll often find antelopes doing that a lot. You may even be able to work out the ridges on the horns, which actually help the horns to interlock. Because it's not actually trying to stab each other, it literally is putting the heads together and trying to push each other. So you'll find on the horns ridges on all antelope that I can think of will have the ridges to stop them slipping. Well, that back one definitely has some attitude, and I think that's possibly why he's engaging him now. Now, it's quite unusual for this time of year. The rut has finished. There's usually another small rut around September time for any females that may have not been mated. It's almost like a second chance, I suppose. It's quite interesting that we're still seeing this behaviour. And so fiercely. At first I thought they were just sparring. But these two boys do mean business. You're actually blocking his path though. tells me they're going to be continuing on all day. So let's leave them to it, but it's certainly wonderful to watch. I'm going to unfortunately take a slight detour. Good morning to you, Val. Wondering how long did it take me to learn all the tracks. I'm still learning, hey? I'm still learning. It's, track recognition, you have to keep at it, you have to keep looking. And even on tracks, that I think I know, I always find I learn something new about it. Tracking is, you know, it is an art, and it is something that you will learn for the rest of your life. The more areas that you go through, the more you look. Even bird tracks. I'm not so hot on my bird tracks. I keep looking. And when a bird lands, it's always worth going and checking. Or even an animal crossing the road. It's always worth just double checking and having a look. An animal lying in the ground, an animal rolling around, an animal sleeping. So always learning, but the ones that I know, it's taken me 5.5 years to gain the knowledge so far. Who knows where I'll be in 5.5 years' time tracking. But tracking, you certainly need to keep on top of it. And even trailing. It will be wonderful to be actually go off with a tracker and actually watch how they trail. I mean, I can do a bit, but to see what they can see is incredible. They'll see the smallest of things. I went out with Adrian Lowe once, and he's I think he's a senior tracker, I might be wrong, but he's quite high up in the tracking, and as I say, to see what he sees is phenomenal. And he'll be going, "Did you see that?" And I'm going, "Nope, didn't see that." And there's a little squirrel sitting on the end of the branch, but he's gone too far into the tree now. Even some of the guides and the trackers here say amazing, absolutely amazing, and they've grown up with it just to go out and learn from them. Sure. Oh wow. Wow, thanks Penny. Penny's saying when she sent in pictures of a wild dog on a kill to 50/50. Now for those who don't know what 50/50 is, it's a wildlife program from here in South Africa. And I think they do run competitions. Apparently Penny got to second place, being second behind a lilac-breasted roller eating a mouse. That's amazing. Well done, Penny. It's great to hear. Penny living over in Durban always gives us the weather report, because usually if Durban gets rain, we get a cold front or rain at least. And I remember Penny saying she had rain the other day, and we certainly got that cold front, that cloud build-up after that. And look at this beautiful blue sky. Oh, we've missed you. Julio. There in California. Welcome on board the Gunda. Wondering how hot it gets here in the summer. Some days got as high as I think 43, 45 degrees. It was like an oven. And we even saw bats. Bats were being very lethargic. And we saw a couple of bats out and about during the day on drive. Very odd. One extreme to the other. Tamborti Dam usually sees a lot of action when it comes to the leopards. Boys especially like this area. But let's keep going. I think we'll do Gary Klein. Valerie from my neck of the woods. But is that Lancaster in the US or Lancaster in England? Oh, the real Lancaster. Lancaster, PA, Pennsylvania, is it? Valerie, wanting to know what's the difference between the dwarf mongoose and other mongoose apart from the size. They are the smallest mongoose, but also very dark in colour as you saw, whereas the other mongoose have either got the banded mongoose with bands across them, some of the larger mongoose may be two-toned, but some of the other mongoose, long-haired, you see, got fairly short hair. But what really sets it apart is two things. They're one of the few diurnal mongoose. Most of the mongoose are actually nocturnal, especially the mongoose found here. And also gregarious mongoose. So the banded mongoose and the dwarf mongoose that we get here both live in families, whereas the other mongoose tend to be much more solitary, or the other mongoose that we get here. So mongoose, they have so many variations from how they live, when they're active, where they live. See a vehicle right on the other side. See if we can contact them and see if they've got something there. A station on Buffalo Cut Line, just past Hyena Road. Still sounds like we've got a blocking signal there. Station on Buffalo Cut Line, close to Hyena Road. Good morning, do you have a lock there? Not quite hearing it. Okay, I'll go down here. along here, see if the rhino's in here. Here, there's another little spot here. I just want to check. Otherwise, we'll turn around and keep going. Cook line. 15 minutes. Okay, let's go up central and then we'll pop out up there. Station copy me now. You're breaking up. Confirm was there 3 and combi on Buffalo Cut line. Okay, copy. I just saw a mover in the middle of the road. Just wondered if there was a lock. Confusing everybody. Valerie from PA. What was Valerie asking? It just popped out of my head. Colin, over there in the UK. Good morning to you. Colin's just sending through a picture of a ground hornbill with a dwarf mongoose. It was taken, what was that, 1997 in Kruger. That's interesting. Thanks, Colin. So that's another confirmed sighting of ground hornbill preying on dwarf mongoose. I'm going to say, where I've been reading, ground hornbill haven't been listed as predators of the dwarf mongoose. They do eat small mammals, as I say. Maybe it's one of those that's not really been recorded that much, so no one's ever thought to list them. Thanks for that, Colin. And sorry, I can't remember what Valerie from Lancaster was asking. Sidetracked by seeing the green vehicle on the road. It'll come back to me. So the rhinos went this way as well. I'm trying to remember. Do you ever have that? You get sidetracked and you just can't remember for the life of you what you were talking about. I'm sure I'm not alone. We've got up there. We've got somebody up there. Lots of leaves that look like a big body. Sorry Valerie, I can't remember if I answered you or not, but sorry if I didn't, I was in the middle of it. Lindsay, good morning to you Lindsay, British Columbia, saying her favourite moment was seeing Wonky up close. I spy another kudu. Of kudu. Seeing Wonky up close. Now, unfortunately, I never got a chance to meet Wonky. No, don't speak, girl. Never got a chance to see Wonky. We just come across the road. Little baby got spooked, and it spooked all of them. I think, was it Wonky that's actually, I think Wonky's in the picture on the player, so if you, where you press play, and I think it's Leishan sitting on the bonnet, is it Jigger, or it could even, yeah, she's sitting on the Jigger, or Babaloo. There we go, quite a nice herd of, it could be Babaloo, so Leishan actually is sitting on the bonnet of Babaloo, and Wonky, the elephant, is right up close. Another very, very relaxed elephant apparently. But sadly I never got to meet him. I think he died, I'm not too sure how long ago. Again, Stacey. Wanting to know about the horns on the giraffe, what are they called and what are they made of? Are they hard like other horns? That's the other kind of horn that you get. So you have the horns, the antlers, then you have the ossicones of the giraffe. It's basically bone. Ossi usually refers to bone. So it is hard, and the whole purpose of them, no one's really too sure. But both sexes have them. Males, they tend to be shorter and fatter, so they are more robust for when they do fight. But exactly why they do have them, the same, both males and females have them. Could be for protection. You don't really see the female using a head. And the female doesn't fight, so she wouldn't really need the protection like the males do. The males, when they do fight, they'll actually gain more lumps on the head. Calcified lumps that get laid down. Maybe it's got something to do with temperature regulation. Possibly. as the actual reason, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. And in fact, they, as far as I know, are the only mammals to be born with the horns, as far as I know. I think the okapi possibly as well. Another member of the giraffe family. And they actually get born with their horns or ossicones flat against the head, and once they're born they'll start to fuse over the next couple of days. They'll stand up and fuse. Whereas the antelope and the deer, they start to grow, especially the antelope, they start to grow just after birth, usually about a month or so into their life. Drongo, you moved. Drongo being one of my favourite birds. Do I see? I might do. Oh, I'm just seeing things. Hi, Joanne. Very beautiful you. What are the shiny things hanging from the dashboard? I'm not too sure what you mean. Shiny things from the dashboard. I'm not seeing anything shiny. What's shining in? What's reflected back in the lens there? Maybe Herman can put me in the right direction. What looks like it's shiny? You know the screen and the radio here, unless you're talking about these things, every so often when the sun catches them. That's the only thing I can think of that might be shiny. It's all the gauges. I'm sure you'd know that. Can you see anything, Becky, that's shining back at you? Huh? No? Sorry, Joanne. Going into the radio. If it's this, the wire going into the radio, and that's how I'm hearing Herman back in Final Control. If anybody wants to know how we get our questions. Oh, time went. Well, unfortunately, it looks like it's time for me to say goodbye. Yes, anybody wanting to know how I get the questions. Sorry? Sorry?
We're just about to run out of battery.
Oh, we're just about to run out of battery. But that is how, through this little piece here in that radio. But thank you very much for joining us this morning, and thank you for sending through all your questions and all your wonderful animal sightings that you really enjoyed. Thanks, Becky, for your camera work. Herman back in Final Control, and I was saying goodbye, and I'll see you again on Afternoon Safari. Take care, everybody. Bye from wherever you are in the world. We'll see you again here on Wild Earth.